computer. Okay, so this is Dan Rader, and I'm with Lauren Holmes, and we're going to talk about our readings for this week. So the very first article was The Digital Divide and Social Inclusion by Mark Warschauer. I thought this was a good article. I thought it brought out some things that was pretty interesting, and the main thing that I got from it was right on the first page, and it said, instead, research has shown that beyond just having the hardware, what is important is the social envelope it comes in, the technical and social support provided to children as they learn. And I thought that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I just want to tack onto that again. There was just one line that I kind of liked there, where it talked about technology as a socio-technical network more than just a tool. And I don't know, I just thought that made an impact on me, and I kind of thought of it a little bit differently after reading that.
I agree. Second article, A New Tech Manifesto by Baratunde Thurston. I thought this was really interesting. I didn't see necessarily the exact correlation to the equity issues, but I thought it was very interesting and very timely. I mean, it's obviously in big news right now with the sharing of all of our data. And I think California actually just passed a law just like yesterday about the sharing of data and making providers of services make it more clear on what data they're going to share.
And for me, I guess it kind of made me feel a little bit naive, not only as an educator, but just as someone that uses a variety of different technologies as well. Like, it just kind of made me more aware of things that I should be more mindful of.
The third article, EdTech Inequities by Audrey Waters. I'll let you start with that one.
Yep. So a big thing with this is that we cannot confuse access with equity. This focuses more on how the technology is being used. And then it talked about the low-income schools, how it's kind of just drill and kill for how technology is being used, and that can really be a disservice to the students. It makes them good at following rules, but not being creative. Then they start to lack problem-solving skills. They don't do as well with collaboration. So it's not really helping them at all to have this technology in the classroom if it's not being used in a way where they can use those higher order thinking skills and be creative.
You know, the things that stuck out to me in this article, again, I thought it was a pretty good article, but you know, the two pictures of the Rocket Ship Learning Lab and then the Carpe Diem Learning Center, they said a lot to me of kind of going to that assembly line type of educational product. So those really stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth article then is Selwyn, Why Distrust Ed Tech? And I'll let you go with that one again too.
Yeah, I guess what I took mostly out of this one, it was definitely, it was a long read, but towards the end it focused on thinking of technology or educational technology to be more of a glass half empty than glass half full, and that it's not going to solve all of our problems or make students better or in reading and math or whatever else, but sometimes it's just something as simple as replacing and making something speedier and more efficient. And a quote I took away from that was, technology is not destiny, but a scene of struggle. And I thought that was kind of interesting to think about as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on then to our, and we came up with 3 meaningful recommendations for how teachers, schools, communities, and or institutions can support equitable learning outcomes. And I'll start with the first one. And this kind of comes from the first article from Warschauer, but technology hardware should be accompanied with PD for teachers on best practice. You know, I am, what that boils down to is you can't just give all the students, as many schools, especially here in Iowa, I think it's more the norm now than it is the exception to be one-to-one in Iowa schools. And you need to make sure, or we need to make sure, to not just throw the technology at the teachers and the students, but provide other meaningful learning for the teachers on how best to use them, and maybe even beyond teachers, students and community members as well, to help really build up that social envelope that they talk about.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that I know when we went one-to-one, one of the things as a technology coordinator that I was kind of fought on, because it was a huge investment in the beginning, and we were early on, so it wasn't that, you know, it was like what everybody was doing at that time. But one of the things that I really fought for was we included weekly professional developments for the first couple of years, and then they kind of went by the wayside. But every Friday we had professional development that was geared specifically towards technology and using it with our students. The other thing that I really fought for when we first went there, and we have maintained this, is that we maintain a budget, a yearly budget, not only for just the computers or the hardware itself, but for other accessories that would go along with help the learning, and also for software and accessories. So, anything else on that first one?
No, I would say those are similar things that my school district started doing as well. We've been one-to-one for, this will be our second year coming up, and I do think it makes a huge impact to have those professional developments in place so that the technology can be used appropriately.
Okay. The second one we came up with was professional development focused on equity as well for our teachers. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit more about that one, because I think you found another article that addressed that.
Yeah, I came across an article recently, not something I was looking for, but it fit perfectly. It's called "Can Equity Be Taught?" and it's by Carly Berwick, and I found it on Edutopia. And so this article kind of focuses on just equity, not technology. And the school district decided that they were going to start teachers were going to take graduate level courses on equity, and it helps the school staff discover how educators can unconsciously contribute to uneven outcomes for children. And then within some of those courses, they talk about topics ranging from misconceptions about race to the influence of the teacher perception on student identity and performance. And not that it needs to be to the level of a graduate course by any means, but I think just doing some professional development with that and kind of bringing that to the forefront and having teachers more aware, I think that would make a huge difference with equity, and just having teachers be more aware of what they're doing, even unconsciously.
I agree. You know, I think it's one of those things that we don't think about that much, and especially maybe in our smaller schools here in Iowa and everything like that. Just like when Dr. Gleason mentioned at a Zoom session that we're in the what's the word I'm looking for? Golly, that we are more segregated now in American history than ever before. You know, that took me aback a little bit, because I don't see that. I don't doubt it, and have now done a little bit more research to say I agree. But I would think most of our teachers are probably very similar to me and wouldn't necessarily think that was the case, or wouldn't think much about it. So I think, if nothing else, just to bring it to their attention and then start building on it. But I think bringing it to their attention to start the conversations will definitely help.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, third one then is that I recommend that the government, whether that be a municipality in a city or whatever, but governments, to start seeing access to data, to internet, but data as a public service. and that one, kind of more involves community than the normal school, but I kind of liken it to public libraries. Most places have public libraries, but I would like to see that data be more accessible to everybody, or internet access. And I'm trying to use the general term of data, but mostly right now I'm thinking of internet access be more prevalent to everybody. So that hopefully would then help with some of that socioeconomic status differences.
And the reason why we brought up this third recommendation was because we were talking about that flipped classroom, or doing assignments at home, or research at home, and how some of there are those families that might not have that access, and hopefully this would make it possible for them to do those types of assignments and go beyond the classroom.
Yeah, and I think internet access now has become so crucial to everything we do. So I think it's one of those things that we just have to make sure everybody has access to.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we have actually gone a little bit over 10 minutes again, but I think we're still pretty close. So is there any last comments you want to make before I end the recording?
No, I think it sounds great.
I think so too. So I am going to stop the recording.